emerged, and then somehow on this planet, life, more complex forms of matter, organic matter was there, life emerged, all of it from matter. And then more complex bodies like ours emerged, and these bodies developed sophisticated nervous systems and brains, and as a byproduct, an epiphenomenon of the brain and nervous system, consciousness emerged. Now that's the story we have been told. If they could prove it, it would be complete. They can't. It works very well up to the level of the body, brain, but from the brain to the jump to the consciousness, that doesn't work at all. Right now, the whole field of consciousness studies is stuck on this so-called hard problem of consciousness. So anyway, so that's one approach, and that's the predominant scientific worldview, that ultimately matter is fundamental, and we conscious beings, we are byproducts. The consequence would be, for example, when the living body dies, then the material basis of our conscious existence is gone, and therefore we don't exist anymore. And obviously there's no such thing as an immortal soul or God, anything like that, and all of religion, spirituality is just a matter of faith and superstition. So that's one point of view. And it's not a particularly new point of view. In ancient India, they were called Charvakas, the materialists. Literally, the word Charvaka means the sweet talker. That's one point of view. Second alternative is, matter emerged from consciousness. Matter emerged from consciousness. Matter, energy, time, space emerged from consciousness. Who says this? Actually, most of the theistic religions of the world say this. What it means is, God created the universe. That's the basic idea in any theistic religion. Matter emerges from consciousness. The idea of God in any of these religions is a conscious God. Nobody will say that our God is unconscious. So our God is always a conscious God. So this consciousness is at the root of the material universe. This is religion, basically, most theistic religion. So Christianity, Islam, Judaism, the theistic forms of Hinduism, they all say this. Time, space, matter, energy. The language is religious language. God is the creator of everything. Fine. So this is the second option. The third option is what most of you who are followers of the yoga system, whether you know it or not, is what you subscribe to, where consciousness and matter are parallel realities. In the Sankhya or the yoga system, Purusha and Prakriti, material nature and consciousness, sentience, both of them are fundamental. Neither created the other. They exist in parallel, and they interact with each other. Where do they interact with each other? In us. We have a material nature, physical body, and the pranic system, and the mind, and so on, including up to mind and intellect, all part of nature, material nature. And you, the conscious being, the Purusha, is it? It's still working. Yes. They are two fundamental realities. It's not that consciousness emerged from nature, not that nature emerged from consciousness. They exist eternally, and they interact in living beings like us. None of this is Advaita. That's the reason I was building up to. The fourth option is Advaita. Advaita Vedanta says, matter is not produced by consciousness. Consciousness is not produced by matter. Rather, matter appears in consciousness. Matter is an appearance in consciousness. A lot like when we dream. When we all dream, we dream a material world. There are people there, there are things out there, there are stars and planets, presumably. There's a whole universe in our dreams. And when we wake up, we realize all of it was a projection of our minds. So even the rocks and the mountains and the stars in our dreams, they were nothing other than the dreamer's mind. You're with me? Pretty much in the same thing, Advaita Vedanta makes this extraordinary claim that this entire material universe which we seem to experience as out there is actually in consciousness and is nothing other than consciousness. So we have four alternatives here. One is consciousness emerged from matter. One, the materialist and the modern scientist say this. Second is, matter emerged from consciousness, which theistic religions believe God created the universe. Third is, consciousness and matter are parallel realities, like Sankhya and Yoga philosophers. And incidentally, David Chalmers, in NYU, New York University, he propounds a philosophy called panpsychism, which means consciousness is fundamental, spread all over the universe, which made him very, very unpopular with all sorts of conscious beings. The scientists are very much against what he's saying. And the fourth one is the Advaita point of view, that consciousness is fundamental, not that consciousness produced matter. Consciousness producing matter is theistic religion. But matter has actually never been produced. Matter is an appearance in consciousness. Just like in our dreams, we actually don't produce a universe out there. We dream it up within our own minds. Similarly, you can say matter is the dream of... Yeah, that's a nice one. I just coined it. Matter is the dream of consciousness. Good. So these are the four options. This is one point I wanted to make. And the second one is what we discussed in the first session, that we are not the body, we are not the mind, we are the awareness which experiences a body-mind. Now the question will arise, two questions. One is, there are so many body-minds here. How many consciousnesses are here? So does each of them have a separate awareness, separate consciousness? Or is there one consciousness? There clearly is not one body. There's so many, you can count them. There clearly is not one mind. There clearly is not one. I'm not denying that the minds may not be connected in some way, but they are different minds. I mean, if each of us was asked to describe his or her experience right now, we would give different descriptions, which means our minds are different. Our minds are different, and the knowledge he has, she does not have. What she knows, I do not know. Our likes and differences are dislikes are different, and so on. So bodies are different, minds are different. Our consciousness is different. Are there consciousnesses in the plural, or is it one consciousness? That's question number one. And the question number two would be, what is the relationship between consciousness and universe, body and mind? Does the universe and body and mind exist separately apart from consciousness? Or does it exist within consciousness? Is it only consciousness appearing as its object? So two questions. And Advaita Vedanta, I'll end with this. Advaita Vedanta says that what Advaita Vedanta holds is it's one consciousness. If you say each of us has a separate consciousness, that would be the Sankhya philosophy, that each is a separate conscious being. But our bodies are different, minds are different, but the underlying awareness, consciousness is one, according to Advaita Vedanta. And there are reasons for that. We can talk about it later. That's one. And the answer to the second question, what is the relationship between consciousness and its object? Of the four theories which I outlined, options I outlined, Advaita Vedanta holds the last one, that whatever we experience in this world, it's all within awareness. And that can actually be demonstrated. If not today, we'll go through the exercise tomorrow, to actually see, it's a very unsettling experience at first. We have this feeling, here is a vast universe, huge world out there, big tent. In this tent, here is this body. In this body, I'm somewhere in there. That's our feeling. Usually we look at it that way, almost automatically. What Advaita Vedanta does is it reverses it. You are the awareness in which, inside you, in the awareness, you experience a body, a mind, and an universe. And this can actually be, this change in the paradigm can actually be done. I mean, we can actually go through the exercise and see if it turns your world topsy-turvy. So the Ashtavakra, I'll end with these two verses. This is what I wanted to cover today. After differentiating between body-mind, you are not the body is not yours, you are not the mind is not yours, you are the witness consciousness. After that it says, two verses. Sarva bhuteshu chatmanam Sarvabhutani Chatmani Vijnaya Nirahankaro Nirmamastvam Sukhi Bhava. Sarvabhuteshu Chatmanam. See this self, the consciousness, in one consciousness in all beings. And all beings in that one consciousness. Vijnaya, realizing this, you go beyond the ideas of I and mine. I and I am this one, and up to this is mine. This is my body, my mind, my possessions, and everything else is the other. You go beyond that. Because either all of it is you or none of it is you. The second verse is, and realizing this, what happens? Sukhi bhava. Forever beyond sorrow. Automatically, naturally, spontaneously, you are happy and at peace. Unconditionally. The next verse, which I wanted to touch upon is, Vishwam spurati yatredam taranga iva sagare tattvam eva na sandeho chinmurte vijvaro bhava. You are that, you the consciousness are that reality in which the universe appears, shines, much like waves in an ocean. Imagine yourself to be the ocean in which the entire universe, the universe out there, your body and the mind, all of it appears like a wave in you, not apart from you. Know that you are that. Tattvameva, na sandeha, beyond all doubt. Chinmurte, you whose form, your nature is consciousness. Ashtavakra is addressing you not as a body, not even as a person, but as awareness. He continuously forces us to stand as awareness, not as a person or a body-mind. Vijvaro bhava. What's the result of all this? Be free of fever. He says we are leading a fevered existence. Anxiety and terror or temptation and a deep-seated fear, unhappiness. This is the symptoms of fever. Be free of this fever. Okay. Don't look so serious. You are consciousness itself. We had some questions which were left over from. There's somebody here. You had.
I just wanted to thank you very much for what you said. And it's been my understanding and my experience. Pardon? Oh, Annabelle. It's been my experience and my understanding for a long time. And it's a lovely way to go through life, but why does one fall away from it? And when one falls away from it, it seems to me to have something to do with non-acceptance and ego or something.
You just keep giving.
Can there be a hope or an expectation or that will one day not be this flip-flop?
So, Annabelle, you've asked an important question. She asked it earlier, actually, and I said you should share it with everybody. The question was that I understand what you are saying, and it's a beautiful way to go through life, but it tends to fall away. The question was, I understand what you said, and it's a beautiful way to go through life, but it tends to fall away. We tend to be back into, what she meant was back into the body-mind system, and the understanding seems to fade away.
The understanding doesn't go, but I don't experience it in this life in the same way. Like that great dancer Nijinsky, who said Nijinsky dances better when Nijinsky isn't there.
All right. That's a special case. What happens to us is when the person is back again. Yes, the person is back again and doing his or her thing. And it seems to be, well, I'm back to square one again. But though I know all this now. So she's asking, is there an expectation that one day we can get beyond this flip-flop and permanently embody that realization, that understanding? Right? Permanently let Nijinsky be not Nijinsky. And the eternal ballet, let it go on. The straight answer is yes. And even more stunning, the answer is you already have it. And it can be shown. When we feel that, oh, I'm back again, and this person is back again, and I'm back in that old mode again, do we not recognize it? That, yes, I'm back again. Yes, the person is back again. And at one time, I felt, no, I am the witness, I am the awareness, and the body, mind, and its all limitations are objects to me, and I'm not them. I'm beyond all of that. Now, the point here is, the one which felt free from the person is the same one which feels trapped by the person. If you felt free from the person and its personality, and again you feel trapped by the person or in the person, you, the one who feels that, are you trapped by the person or free from it? Let me repeat that. If you notice, Annabelle, if you notice that I have flip-flopped, I'm back into the same mode again. You notice that, right? Otherwise, how would you know?
You only notice when you've fallen away from it.
You've noticed when you've fallen away from it.
You know when you're there.
Yeah, you have noticed when you've fallen away from it. The one which noticed that Annabelle has fallen away from it, has that fallen away from it? You cannot. Right. You cannot fall away from it. Annabelle said something very important. Use the microphone. So she said, it can't fall away from it. You cannot fall away from that because it is always that. And you are always that. This idea that I have fallen away from it and I am old Annabelle again, that's the mind. Now if you say, how can I prevent the mind from doing that? You don't need to. You don't need to. Let the mind do its own thing. When you give up this desire to prevent the mind from doing that, you actually stay as you are all the time.
So it's to do with acceptance.
Acceptance, not only that. This knowledge which we have, this realization we have about our real nature. I came across a phrase, somebody started a website about it and called it never not here. I really like that phrasing. Never not here. It doesn't mean always here. It means it's never not here. There's never a time when it's not available to you. Only when we have, what we do is, when we have problems, when I say Annabelle is creating problems from me again, the background, that radiance of what we are, it's always available there. Immediately bring it into play and Annabelle will give up creating problems for you. Your reality, that which you have recognized, is never not here. It's always here and always available to us. What Advaita says is, okay, let me, oh good, we are back. But let's not give up the comfort of this little group just yet. Yeah. Whenever there is a problem, okay, I remember this. It was in Haridwar, at the foothills of the Himalayas. A young monk, there was this great teacher who passed away recently, one of the few good that we stuck to, who passed away recently, one of the few enlightened while living Jivan Muktas I think I have come across. I can take his name, he has passed away now. Ramananda Saraswati. He was a wandering monk. Now this young monk was talking about this, something like this, he was asking, and finally he came to this point, that, but Swami, at least this much we must hold on to, that I am Brahman. This much we must hold on to. This is what we have to hold on to at least, isn't it? And the Swami said, no, this is exactly what you must not hold on to. Now that's an important insight. When I'm holding on to that with the mind, it's the mind which is holding on to it. And I think that is the reality. No, that's not the reality. The mind need not hold on to it. When you see, you are Annabelle. Do you still, all the time, do you keep repeating, I'm Annabelle, I'm Annabelle, I'm Annabelle? No, don't disturb me. And I might forget that I'm Annabelle. You don't forget. And the Swami was saying this exactly. The realization should be, as deep as this. Even the Annabelle identity was given by parents. But see how automatic it has become. Within few weeks, months, it has become absolutely my identity. You don't think I'm Annabelle all the time, yet somebody asks you, what's your name? I'm Annabelle. It comes out immediately. To that extent, it must be that I am that awareness. I am Bodha, pure awareness. I am Brahman, infinite existence. Not in a way of repeating to myself, not practicing being Brahman. That practice is initially good to remove the error that I am not Brahman. In New York, in Central Park, they have this, what is called Shakespeare in the Park. In summer, they have it. So this actor goes out and plays maybe a king, and then maybe goes back into the green room and changes the dress and comes back and plays the pauper or a beggar. Now, when the actor is playing the king, the actor has to be consciously aware all the time, practicing being the king. Because then only the actor can play being the king to the fullest extent. And so for the beggar, when he changes the costume, comes out acting as the beggar, has to feel like and act like a beggar. But at no point does the actor have to play or try to be the actor. He never thinks, I must remember my name is Mr. Smith. It's not Macbeth or something. So I must do both. Play Macbeth and remember at the back of my mind, the mantra should go on, I'm Smith, I'm Smith, I'm Smith. No. He is absolutely confident that will never go away. In fact, when he stops practicing being the king goes away. When he stops practicing being the beggar goes away. The beggar and the king are kept alive by his practice. Whereas the actor, Mr. Smith, is not kept alive by practice. It's kept alive by his realization that I am Smith. And that's always available to him. You don't have to think about it all the time. You don't have to hold on to it all the time. It's always there. So that kind of clarity must come at least once, and then you will see it's always there. And you can call upon it when the person Annabelle creates problems. Hey, Annabelle is acting up again. Back to my nature as awareness. Settle back there. One Swami put it very simply, one of our great teachers, simplest possible way. The pillow on which we lie down. When we go to sleep, relax at the end of a tiring and exhausting day and settle back into it. He said the Atman is like that. It's your real nature. You can settle back into it whenever you need to. There was somebody else. You had asked already. She has not asked. Can we pass it to her?
Hi. Okay, so my name is Elisa.
Elisa.
Let me try to explain the question. So from one side, it's a complex one. From one side, Vedanta is saying that we are all the same consciousness.
Yes.
So we are all Brahman in some way. But at the same time, it explains that you don't die. And that you can even remain, or also the concept in some way of reincarnation or evolution,
Yes.
which means that are there like a one consciousness but made of subtle Brahman? Because otherwise you will always keep, it's like if instead of Brahman we have energy, it was like if there were different types of vibrations that will always stick together to remain a unique, not identity, but a kind of, so I don't see how both concepts can match.
Correct. It's a good question. It brings us to a central teaching of Advaita, without which Advaita seems to be absolutely confusing. Like Elisa put it, how can you be immortal and not dying, and at the same time uphold reincarnation, which means you're dying and being born again and dying and being born again. There's this cartoon in America where this, there's a born again Christian. So there's a Christian talking to a Hindu and he says, look, I'm a born again Christian. And the Hindu looks puzzled and he says, but I'm a born again and again and again and again and again Hindu. How can you be born again and again without dying again and again? And at the same time, how can you be the deathless Brahman? The same question, even more deeply in its most philosophical form, would come out like this. Didn't you just say that I am not the body, not the mind, I am the consciousness beyond body and mind? So I am not, obviously not this world, I am not even this body, not even the mind, I am something beyond, I am the witness consciousness. Which means consciousness is there, and the entire universe, including body and mind, and bodies and minds are all separate from consciousness. One point. And the next, how come you come and say that everything is Brahman? You are Brahman, and Brahman is everything, and yet before that you had said you're not the body, not the mind. So how can both of them be true? So here is the answer. Advaita Vedanta has to be understood in two steps. In two steps. Non-duality has to be established in two steps. The first step is to see yourself as the witness consciousness apart from body and mind. Why do you have to do that? Because we have already got a mistaken identity with the body-mind, and we think we are this little person and nothing more than this. That has to be corrected. We have to discover that witness consciousness beyond body and mind. So not the body, not the mind, neti, not this, and you go to that. That's step one. After going to that, after realizing yourself as the witness consciousness, at least intellectually understanding that this is possible, now look back upon all that you have left behind. The universe, this body, mind, all of that. And then realize this universe, body, mind are nothing other than expressions of, manifestations of, nothing other than that witness consciousness. Nothing other than that means not two is established. It's like this. Like this. Oh, I like this story very much. Example of the little wave. So out there in the English Channel, a little wave is born. It comes up, it looks around, and it finds other little waves, and so maybe it goes to wave kindergarten or something like that, and learns to be a good little wave. Very soon it finds that life as a wave is not all that easy. And there are other mean waves who are not nice to it. Some of them are its friends, so they are friendly waves. Not only that, there are big waves in the English Channel. Huge. And there are tiny waves and bubbles, and so it has friends. The little wave is growing up with friends and with enemies and with these huge waves, and looks at them and feels hopeless that this guy is so great, I'm nothing. And then it looks at the bubble and looks and thinks, oh, what a loser, I'm much better than that. There is envy, there is arrogance, and there are complex relations, and the worst of all, it sees that in distance, and it asks a wave, what's happening there? What's that? It says, oh, that's Dover. Dover, what's Dover? That's where all waves go to die. What? You see, those guys who are ahead of us, they all smashed into spray, into, this foam and spray. Me too. It'll happen to me. Yes. It'll happen to you too. Everybody. Waves have to die. That's our lot. So the biggest of all problems, death, and of course, jealousy and envy and fear and anxiety, and of course, death is there. Now, a Vedanta wave comes along next to it and says, all of these are true, but there is something called water which doesn't die. Really? What happens? Well, the water goes and smashes against Dover. Not even at Dover, water doesn't die at Dover. No, it just changes form. It becomes spray or something like that. Still water. It doesn't die. Only the name and form changes. It was called a wave, and it becomes spray, and the form changes, but still water. And the wave thinks that, well, good for water. How does it help me? You are water. That thou art. You cannot die. How? But I'm a wave. No. Look deep within yourself. Go really deep within yourself, and you will find water. And so it was. The wave looked at it deep inside and found it's water. But not only deep inside. When it looked at its surface, it's water. When it looked in between, it's water. In fact, it's water through and through. And the wave said, wow, I cannot die then. I'll just change a name and a form. And not only that, if the sun warms you up and takes you up into the sky, you will rise up as water vapor. It's a new name, vapor, a new form. It's fun. You're still water. Absolutely, you cannot die. Not only that. Now it begins to see as water, the Vedanta wave asks it, as water, where is the limit? As you the wave and I the wave, there's a limit. You are that wave, I'm this wave. But think of yourself as water. Where is the limit as water? Where is the boundary as water between one wave and the other? It says nowhere. I'm water here, I'm water there, I'm water there. In fact, I'm the entire English Channel. I'm the entire Atlantic Ocean and all the oceans that there are. It suddenly expands into infinity. And immediately, the problems, oh, that guy is so great. Nothing. That guy is I, water. And this little guy I was contemptuous of, the little bubble, is I, water. One reality, inside and outside. Non-duality is revealed now. Notice, first it had to see itself as apart from the wave, name and form, and see itself as water. So it had to do a little bit of neti-neti, that go deep into yourself. That part is essential to move from its identity as wave into its identity as water. Once you do that, then you look back upon all the waves and foam and all of that and discover all is water and indeed one water, which I am. I am all of it. In the case of wave and water, there's still a little question will be in your mind that, yeah, big waves have more water and little waves have less water. Kind of like Bill Gates has a lot of money and I have less money. In the case of water, it's a material substance. That's true. In the case of consciousness, there's no more consciousness or less consciousness. You are the infinite. If you can even use the word all of it, you are it. There is no second apart from you. So Advaita Vedanta, 2 steps have to be taken. One is retreat from the appearances, discover your not water nature, existence, consciousness, bliss, and then see everything here is a name and form in existence, consciousness, bliss. I am that existence, consciousness, bliss. This can actually be experientially seen. We have that experience right now. It just needs to be pointed out. But thank you. Thank you. But I'll keep you waiting till tomorrow for nirvana. It has to be a guided meditation, at least to appreciate what they are pointing towards. It's available right now. You should ask that, if I am Brahman right now, it should be available right now. It is available right now, and it can be shown right now. Ashtavakra is that kind of book. Now, I still haven't answered exactly what you asked for. Now what happens is, there are 2 levels of truth. In Advaita philosophy, they are called, in Advaita it's there, and again Buddhism. Madhyamika Buddhism speaks about 2 levels of truth. Some say Shankara borrowed it from Nagarjuna. But anyway, it works very beautifully. The 2 levels of truth are, one is the water level of truth, one is the wave level of truth. After realizing itself as water, the wave form still continues for some time until it hits Dover. So until that point, the water in that wave can behave as a wave, can indeed relate to everybody else. So at the level of name and form, name, form, activity, it's called Nama Rupa Vyavahara, name and form and transaction. The world will continue as it is. So that is called the Vyavaharika Satyam, the transactional reality. And there is something called the level of the water. Same thing, can be seen as water only. That is called Paramarthika Satyam, which means absolute reality. As absolute reality, Eliza, you are Brahman. The same Brahman, in this point, at this point of time, in that form, is called Eliza and has a personal history, has a life to live out, like that wave. You as Brahman, you are completely untouched by it. It's your play. Now, the specific question about reincarnation. Reincarnation works at the transactional level of reality. birth of the body, growth of the body, aging, death of the body, and the subtle body, sukshma sharira, the subtle body, mind and impressions and all, passing, which you call the person, Eliza, passing on from this life to another life, and another birth and another body, and so on and so forth, is like the same level as the waves, one disappearing, another one coming up, and disappearing, another one coming up. So that continues. At that level, reincarnation is real. At that level, birth and death and change are real. But that's only a superficial level. All of that is actually not water, existence, consciousness, bliss. Yeah. Yes. I can hear you. I can hear you. I'll repeat your question. Yeah. Yes.
We can say that the same form of wave
Yes.
will repeat itself.
Yeah.
So we don't, when we die, there is no mixture of when two people die, there is no merge. The idea is that there is a kind of, I'm not going to call it identity, but of the limit.
Yes. But remember, when you say two people, you mean two bodies. There are no two consciousness. There is one consciousness. That one consciousness shining through body mind of Eliza is the person called Eliza. Imagine the vast sky. When you look at it through a window frame, depending on the shapes of the window frame, you can see triangles and squares and circles, the iron grill of the window. Now, it's not that the sky has been divided into triangles and squares and circles. Yeah.
I understand the concept.
Yes.
For me, the complexity is how can I remember, if I remember my past life, it means that the part of consciousness, even if we are all one, goes the same percentage of consciousness, go from one body to another. You never mix with
Okay, I understand what you mean. All right, so Advaita Vedanta, not Advaita Vedanta only. In fact, Sankhya, Yoga, most of the Indian philosophies, what do you mean by a person right now? So there is a body. And so this body is called physical body, or we often, our early Swamis translated it as gross body, but in America, gross means something else now. So, physical body. In Sanskrit, Sthula Sharira. That's one. The second component is the subtle body, Sukshma Sharira. And that's, when I say subtle body, I don't mean anything unknown to any of us. Right now, we are all experiencing the subtle body. I mean, you're thinking, feeling, remembering, all the inner experiences going on right now. That's the subtle body. So subtle body has been precisely defined. In fact, in the Pancha Kosha system, the food sheet, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. The food sheet is the physical body, the Pranamaya, the pranic body, the mental body, and the intellect. That is Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya. Together, they are called the subtle body. And all of them we are experiencing right now. It's there. It's not theoretic or anything like that. Now, when the physical body dies, the subtle body continues. You, the consciousness, are always there. Your reality as consciousness is always there. You are shining upon the subtle body, and in the subtle body there is formed what is called a reflected consciousness, Chidabhasa, which is the awareness which we are feeling right now. That awareness which we are feeling right now is not the original awareness, not our pure consciousness, that which we already are. But we are shining upon the mind, and the mind shines in our reflected consciousness, our consciousness reflected there. So that is the subtle body. That one will survive the death of this particular body. And that one will continue into other bodies. And that carries the distinct personality of what you call Eliza now. So that will not mix with others. That is the distinctive. And that continues, and these are all part of the transactional reality. It's not the ultimate reality. Ultimate reality is only Brahman. And this transactional reality is an appearance. It's like, another example would be a screen which plays many movies. Screen continues. That is the ultimate reality. But each movie has its own plot. And that plays at the level of fiction, at the level of the movie. So this idea of two realities. So what you're talking about, one body, one person, many lives, all of that is transactional reality, lower reality. The ultimate reality is what Advaita speaks about, that you are Brahman. Yeah. All right. I will wrap it up here. And tomorrow we'll try our best to become enlightened. Thank you so much. Thank you.